which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. Verse 14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire.
So you see that? So death and hell was cast into the lake of fire. So we see that death is another existence of life. Not life, but you perish, basically. Like after your soul leaves your body, what the world calls death, but the Bible calls sleep. Okay? If you was unrighteous, you will experience death. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
You see that? This is the second death. Okay? So now when we actually go back to Matthew the 16th chapter, and when Christ told his disciples, there will be some of you standing here who will not taste of death. That's the understanding of not tasting death. Why? Because of course they would sleep. They would go into the grave. But upon Christ's return, they will be resurrected and change. Okay? So death would have no power over these righteous men that were standing with Christ, and us as well, if we continue to hold fast to the faith. Right? Let's go to Matthew. Let's go back to the book of Matthew. We're going to the 19th chapter. Okay? So like I said, we're basically just going over or trying to or understanding what is this change that we will be receiving through Christ, right? Let's go to I said Matthew the 19th chapter. Take it at verse 27.
Matthew chapter 19, verse 27.
Go ahead.
Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore?
So you see that? Peter is asking Christ, look, we gave up everything to follow you. We gave up our homes, our jobs. We don't have no money. We have nothing. We have forsaken everything. Now he's asking him, what are we going to receive for doing that? Go ahead.
Verse 28. And Yeshua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration.
In the what?
In the regeneration.
In the regeneration. See that? So that means there's going to be a renewing of ourselves. Right? Continue reading.
In the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones.
See that? They shall also sit on 12 thrones. Go ahead.
Judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
Judging who?
Judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
So this is New Testament. Christ is saying to the disciples that what they will be receiving, because they gave up everything to follow Christ, they will be sitting as judges in the kingdom, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Out of the mouth of Christ. Go ahead.
Verse 29. And everyone that hath forsaken house, or brother, or sister, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive an hundredfold, and shall inherit everlasting life.
So you see that? So that's what they will receive, and that's what we will receive. For forsaking this life and following Christ, we will receive everlasting life. That is what Paul was talking about. The immortality that we read in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Right? So in the regeneration, okay, because they're not going to taste death. They're going to be rejuvenated, or they're going to be resurrected and receive a new form, a new body, the change. That's part of the reward, right? So now we gotta go back into the scriptures to see where did the prophets of old get the understanding of our bodies being changed? Where did Paul hear this from? How was Paul able to teach this? Okay, how did he know about this information? Where else in the scriptures can we find that it was told to the prophets that we will be changed? Who did the Most High give that information to? And we're gonna find out today that that record and that information was taken from us, right? It was taken from us, but we have it back. The Most High allowed us to have it back, and we're going to actually go into it in the Studiographa or the Studiopigrapha, right? All right, here we go. I got it upside down. So we're going to go into this book, all right? The book of Baruch, all right? We're going to show you that the Most High gave Prophet Baruch, okay, the understanding of the afterlife. Okay? This is before Christ came on the scene and before Paul was even in existence, right? The Most High gave Prophet Baruch, okay, who was actually he was a scribe under Jeremiah the prophet. And you can read about Baruch in the book of Jeremiah. So Baruch was given a testimony of what will happen to those who receive that change. What would happen to us after death, or whatever the case is, or after we sleep. We're going to actually go there. We, for those of you who do have this book, right, we're in 2nd Baruch. And for those of you who don't have this book, it's all right. It's not a problem. We'll read it for you, so that way you can understand. Because like I said, this book wasn't given to everybody. The Catholic Church and Satan himself is trying his hardest to keep this book from us, to keep these old literatures from us, so we don't have no understanding. But all praise to the Most High. How we read last week, how the earth was helping the woman, which is Israel, which we have these records before us and we could read about it.
The earth gives us back our records.
Yeah, exactly. So we're in the book of 2nd Baruch. We're going to start the 49th chapter, right? Let's take it at verse 1. We're going to read all this.
All right.
But so listen up.
2nd Baruch, chapter 49, starting at verse 1.
Go ahead.
Nevertheless, I will again ask from thee, O mighty one, yea, I will ask mercy from him who made all things. In what shape will those live who live in thy day? So
Baruch was asking a question: what shape or what form will mankind be in that's living right now in our time, right? Now let's see what he asked. Go ahead.
Or how will the splendor of those who are after that time continue? Will they then resume this form of the present, or put on these trammeling members, which are now involved in evils?
So you see, now this is why now we can understand why Paul was saying that our bodies are corrupt. Okay, because our bodies, our physical shells that our souls are living in, are exposed to a lot of evils, and was actually involved in a lot of evils before we came to the truth and kept the commandments. So these earthly vessels cannot inherit something that's pure and clean. So of course there has to be a change, right? Go ahead.
And which evils are consummated.
See, evils are consummated in these shells. Go ahead.
Or wilt thou perchance change these things which have been in the world, as also the world?
See that? So he's asking, are you going to change these bodies? Okay, because we know these bodies can't get into the kingdom, right? They can't stand before the Most High. They're filthy. So what? So he's asking he wants to know, what are you going to do? So now let's hear the response.
Chapter 50, verse 1. And he answered and said unto me, Hear, Baruch, this word, and write in the remembrance of thy heart all that thou shalt learn. For the earth shall then assuredly restore the dead.
That's the resurrection upon Christ's return. The Most High is confirming to Baruch that the earth shall give back her dead, right? Now we can understand why Paul was saying, O grave, where is thy sting? Or where is thy victory? So the grave would have to give back the dead, right? Continue reading.
Same verse 2. Which is not received in order to preserve them. It shall make no change in their form, but as it has received, so shall it restore them.
So the earth, the same manner or the same body that you died in, you will be resurrected in that body, right? Go ahead. Why? But there's a reason for that. Go ahead.
And as I delivered them unto it, so also shall it raise them.
Go ahead.
For then it will be necessary to show to the living that the dead have come to life again, and that those who had departed have returned again. And it shall come to pass, when they have severally
keep your finger on it,
recognized those whom they now know, then judgment shall grow strong, and those things which before were spoken of shall come.
So the Most High will make them rise in the same form, so that way the people could know. The people who doubted this will know that the Most High word was true. The resurrection is possible. The resurrection is true. So he has to make them raise in their same form before the change. Go ahead.
Chapter 51, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it shall come to pass, when that appointed day has gone by, that then shall the aspect of those who are condemned be afterwards changed, and the glory of those who are justified.
So you see that? So that the glory of those who are justified will receive a change too.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
For the aspect of those who now act wickedly
Mm-hmm.
shall become worse than it is.
So you see that? So the people who died living in sin, who rejected the Most High and who rejected Christ,
Mm-hmm.
they will be resurrected to their natural form, but they would receive a more degradable body. Okay? Go ahead.
As they shall suffer torment,
See that? They shall suffer torment.
also as for the glory of those who have now been justified in my law,
Mm-hmm. See, read that. Who have been justified what?
now been justified in my law,
So through Christ and his baptism, you still have to be justified by the law of the Most High. Because it doesn't make any sense. How can, or we have to question ourselves or ask this question. What is the Most High going to use to judge the world? What law? There has to be a law to judge someone accordingly. You can't just make something as you go along and say, okay, I'm going to judge you because you look this way. What? There has to be a standard. So the Most High have a standard, and his standard is his laws. So even though you're under Christ and you got baptized, you still are responsible to keep the laws of the Most High, his commandments. Go ahead.
who have had understanding
See, they have had understanding.
in their life,
Mm-hmm.
and who have planted in their heart the root of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Then their splendor shall be glorified in changes.
See, their splendor shall be glorified in changes. So there'll be different changes for those who died, who were justified by the law of the Most High. Right? Go ahead.
And the form of their face shall be turned into the light of their beauty,
Go ahead.
that they may be able to acquire and receive the world which does not die.
See that? Immortality. We will receive a world that will not die. That's part of that reward that Christ told he told his disciples about. Who Paul was, and the place where Paul was actually speaking about, telling us about we must take this change. How did they have this information? It was given to Baruch. Go ahead.
Which is then promised to them.
Mm-hmm.
For over this above all shall those who come then lament, that they reject my law.
So look at that. So those who rejected the law of the Most High, they will see the splendor and their change of those who are righteous, and they're gonna be crying. They're gonna lament, saying, "Oh man, I wish I never rejected the Most High. Look at them, and look how I look. My body is worse than it was from when I was living, and look at them. They're different. They're different beings." See that? Go ahead.
I'll read it over again.
Mm-hmm.
For over this above all shall those who come then lament, that they rejected my law and stopped their ears, that they might not hear wisdom or receive understanding.
Look at that. See that? So there's going to be people who's going to understand that they should have listened. All the time that the brother was on the corner preaching, you should have listened to him. All right? So you had the laws presented to you. You knew it was the truth, but you wanted to live according to your own will. That's what's coming to you. Okay? You got to get it together. Go ahead.
When therefore they see those over whom they are now exalted, but who shall then be exalted and glorified more than they? they shall respectively be transformed.
They shall be what?
Respectively be transformed.
So these people will be transformed. Go ahead.
The latter unto the splendor of angels.
See, they will be have the likeness of angels. But continue reading. Go ahead.
And the former shall yet more waste away in wonder at the vision and in the beholding of the forms.
Go ahead.
For they shall first behold and afterwards depart to be tormented.
See, look at that. They shall see the changes of those who live righteously, and all they got to look forward to is what? Torment. It's the second death. See that? Continue reading.
Verse 7. But those who have been saved by their works.
See, be what?
Been saved by their works.
So those people are going to be, there's going to be people who are going to be saved by their works. Okay, it's not just sitting down and just saying I believe in Jesus in my heart. That's not going to save you. Works. Okay, it takes working. Go ahead.
And to whom the law has been now a hope.
See that? The law also has been their hope of salvation as well too. See, so the law is not done away with. Go ahead.
And understanding and expectation and wisdom a confidence.
Go ahead.
Shall wonders appear in their time.
See, wonders shall appear in their time. Go ahead.
For they shall behold the world which is now invisible to them, and they shall behold the time which is now hidden from them, and time shall no longer age them.
So you see that? Immortality. Time will no longer age us, and we will be able to see visually the world that we can't see currently, because it exists, but we just can't see it. All right, because our physical bodies are not made to receive that. Okay, these bodies are not made to receive that. That's why Christ said He goes to prepare a place for us. All right, go ahead.
For in the heights of that world shall they dwell.
In the heights of that world shall they dwell. Go ahead.
And they shall be made like unto the angels.
See that? We shall be made like unto the angels. Go ahead.
And be made equal to the stars. And they shall be changed into every form they desire.
Look at that. We'll be able to change ourselves to any form we desire. That's the form. That's the reward that we're going to receive. Okay. Go ahead.
From beauty into loveliness.
From beauty to loveliness. Go ahead.
And from light into the splendor of glory.
Continue.
For there shall be spread before them the extent of paradise, and there shall be shown to them the beauty of the majesty of the living creatures which are beneath the throne, and all the armies of the angels, who are now held fast by my word, lest they should appear, and are held fast by a command, that they may stand in their places till their advents come.
So you see that? So once we get that change, all of paradise will be for us. Okay? We'll be able to see all, like in the book of Revelations, the 4 living creatures that cry before the Most High day and night. We'll be able to see them. We're going to be able to see the all the armies of heaven. Right? Everything is going to, nothing will be withheld from us. We'll see and know everything at that point. Go ahead.
Moreover, there shall then be excellency in the righteousness surpassing that in the angels.
So we'll surpass the beauty of the angels. Go ahead.
For the first shall receive the last.
So now you're going to understand when Christ said the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Read that again.
For the first shall receive the last.
See that?
Those whom they were expecting, and the last those of whom they used to hear that they had passed away.
Go ahead.
Verse 14. For they have been delivered from this world of tribulation.
So you see that they have been delivered from this world of tribulation, meaning they've endured tribulation. They weren't caught up somewhere and hidden from tribulation. They had to endure it, and they had to overcome it. Right? Go ahead.
And laid hold the burthen of anguish.
See that? Go ahead.
For what then have men lost their life?
See that? So what was the purpose of them losing their life? To inherit this world to come. Go ahead.
And for what have those who were on the earth exchange their souls.
So you look at that. He said, what was it worth for you to exchange your soul for nothing? Okay, when your soul is what you need to get to this point right here. Okay, go ahead.
Or even to sell your soul.
Or to sell it, right? Go ahead.
For then they choose not for themselves this time, which beyond the reach of anguish could not pass away.
Go ahead.
But they choose for themselves that time, whose issue are full of lament and evils.
So look at that. They chose to deal with their present situation, this life. They said it. They say within themselves, we only got one life to live. Let's live it up right now while we can. YOLO.
You only live once.
You only live once. That's a demonic deception. Okay, to make you waste your life and not receive what the Most High got planned for you. Right? Go ahead.
And they denied the world which ages not those who come to it.
So you see that? They denied what we will receive. Okay? And they're going to understand that. They're going to see it and they're going to waste away and understand that they made that choice. Okay? The Most High don't send people to hell or to torment. People send themselves to torment in hell. Go ahead.
And they rejected the time of glory, so that they shall not come to the honor of which I told thee before.
So you see that? They rejected it. See that? So they will not receive the change. They will not receive the promises, okay, and the reward of going to this world or this kingdom that we will receive. Go ahead.
And I answered and said, how can we forget those for whom woe is then reserved?
So now Baruch asks another question. So we're supposed to just forget about those that we love, those who we try to tell the truth and try to warn them of the destruction. We're supposed to forget about them? Let's see what the Most High say.
And why therefore do we again mourn for those who die?
See, and he said that, and he asked a question. Why do we mourn for people who die? Like we see all the time when people go to funerals, everybody's crying and you see, and that's because our people, people don't have the understanding that he's just asleep. He or she is just sleeping right now for a time. We're gonna see them again, for the good or probably for their worse. So Baruch wanted to understand why people cry during funerals when people pass away to the next life. Let's see what he else says.
Why do we weep for those who depart to Sheol?
See, he said, why do we even cry to those who depart to Sheol, or another name for Hades or torments? Go ahead.
Let lamentations be reserved for the beginning of that coming torment.
So you see that? He said, let people cry for those who are going to experience torments, or who's going to be sent to the second death. That's when you really should be crying. Okay? Because at the point of someone's death, or when somebody dies, none of us in the physical know where that person's soul is going to end up until Judgment Day. So we should really be reserving our tears for Judgment Day. Okay? Because not everybody's going to be resurrected to receive that changed body, or not everybody's going to be resurrected to experience the change, or to experience life on the other side with Christ. That's when you should be pouring out your tears and feeling sad. But that's something that you got to train yourself mentally about. You got to prepare yourself for that, because it's a common thing for people to cry during a funeral, because we're taught that you're not going to see that person ever again, when that's a lie. We will see that person again in the resurrection. Go ahead.
And let tears be laid up for the advent of the destruction of that time. But even in the face of these things will I speak. And as for the righteous, what will they do now?
See, what will the righteous do now? Go ahead.
Rejoice ye in the suffering which ye now suffer.
So you see that? So we're supposed to rejoice. And it's hard. That sounds kind of crazy. How am I going to rejoice and I'm suffering? But we need to rejoice during this suffering. Why?
For why do ye look for the decline of your enemies?
Why do we look for the decline of our enemies? Go ahead.
Make ready your souls for that which is reserved for you.
See that? We need to worry about what's coming to us. Are we gonna make it to the other side, or are we gonna be destined to go into torment just as our enemies are? So the focus shouldn't be on us destroying our enemies, but us, what is going to happen to our very souls. Will we receive that change? Will the Most High send us to the second death? Have we done works worthy enough to receive that change? That's the questions that we need to be answering. Okay, go ahead.
And prepare your soul for the reward which is laid up for you.
See that? We need to prepare our souls for the reward that is laid up for us. Okay? So this is the understanding that was given to Paul, that Paul was reading, actually. You know, all the ancient forefathers was reading this information concerning the afterlife, concerning what would happen with this change that Christ spoke about, that Paul spoke about. Okay? This is the information, right? Let's go. Let's go to the book of Philippians. Philippians chapter 3.
Just had it too.
Right after Titus. Oh, that's Philemon. Sorry. Philippians.
It's before Thessalonians.
Yeah, Thessalonians.
Colossians.
Go ahead. Philippians 3. Take it at verse 17.
Philippians chapter 3, verse 17.
Yep.
Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as ye have us for an example.
So you see, Paul is saying be examples of him. Why? Because he kept the laws. You know what I'm saying? He was a teacher of the law. He was a teacher of how to receive repentance to the Jew and to the Gentile alike. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 18. For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Christ.
So you see that? So basically he was saying that there's a lot of people who are enemies of Christ's crucifixion. They didn't want to believe Christ's crucifixion. These are people we consider enemies of Christ. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 19. Whose end is destruction.
Whose end is what?
Whose end is destruction.
Whose end is destruction. These are the people who are going to realize, man, I should have believed in that man that they said came and died for my sins. Right? They're gonna be like, man, I should have kept the laws of the Most High. These are the people whose end will result in destruction. Right? Go ahead.
Whose power is their belly.
Whose power is their belly. Go ahead.
And whose glory is in their shame.
Look at that. Whose glory is in their shame. That's the only form of glory they're gonna get is shame. Go ahead.
Who mind earthly things.
Who mind earthly things. See that? They didn't give up this life to receive the life to come. Go ahead.
For our conversation is in heaven. For whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord Yeshua Christ. Verse 21. Who shall change our vile body?
Who shall what?
Who shall change our vile body?
Who will change our vile bodies? Go ahead.
That it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body.
See that? Now you guys have the understanding of what is that change is going to be. What is that change? Now you have that understanding. Go ahead.
According to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself.
See that? He is able to subdue all things unto himself. Right? That's it on that?
Yeah, that's it. Wait, no.
Go ahead. Continue.
No, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
All right, that's it? All right. That last scripture. All right, so we have to be prepared for that. We can't be like those other people who reject Christ's crucifixion, who reject Christ's sacrifice. They will not receive the change, the reward. Okay? They will not receive that. They will not receive this life to come. Okay? They will be living in shame for the rest of their existence until they experience the second death. Let's go to the book of Revelation 21 and take it at verse 22. And we're going to end it with that scripture. All right?
Revelations chapter 21, starting at verse 22.
Go ahead.
And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord power almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it.
They're the temple of where we're going to be in the kingdom. All right? Well, this is actually after Christ gives back all power back to the Father. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 23.
Mm-hmm.
And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it.
Go ahead.
For the glory of the Most High did lighten it,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lamb is the light thereof.
And the Lamb is the light thereof. Go ahead.
Verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it.
See, and the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of them. So yes, the other nations will get to walk into the light of this kingdom if they live righteously. Okay, go ahead.
And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it.
See, and the kings of the earth bring their glory and honor into this kingdom.
And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day,
Mm-hmm.
for there shall be no night there.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 26. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it, and there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whosoever worketh abomination.
See that? Corruptible shells. Those who didn't make amends with the Most High will not be able to enter in. Go ahead.
Or maketh a lie,
Go ahead.
but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Chapter 22.
That's it.
That's it?
See, only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life will be able to enter in. Will receive that change, okay, that has been promised to us from Christ and the disciples and all of the apostles, all of the prophets who had this understanding. That's what we're waiting for. That's part of the reward that we shall receive. That's part of that promise that we shall receive. Okay. So we're just gonna go into a little bit of question and answers, and that's it on the change or being changed is the reward of this lesson, right? That's it on that. So just gonna go into any questions and answers at this time.